Hey guys, what's up? This is White Boy for the win, and welcome back to Why Mega Evolved. Now, earlier last week we talked about Mega Mantine, and today we're going to be talking about Mega Liepard. But before we get started, let me just give you guys a brief explanation on what this series is about. Now, every week we'll be picking two Pokemon that either need a Mega Evolution, deserve a Mega Evolution, or I want a Mega Evolution for. Now, this is based on my opinion alone, and no one else's. Now, if you guys do not like my opinion, then please post your opinions in the comment section down below about what would you keep, what would you change, and etc. And at the end of every video, I will be telling you guys which Pokemon we're going to be talking about the following day. So with that said, here is Mega Liepard. Now, I've talked about Mega Stoutland in the past before, and Stoutland and Liepard are kind of, I wouldn't say corresponding Pokemon, but they're somewhat of a pair, considering that you can get both Lilypup and, man, what's this thing's pre-evolution? I can't remember its name. Purloin, there we go. And Purloin as like beginning route Pokemon when you first start your journey in pretty much any Pokemon game. But in this sense, it'll be like in Black and White and Black and White 2. Now, once again, like I said, I've already talked about Mega Stoutland in the past, and I really wanted to talk about Mega Liepard because Liepard, in my opinion, is a very an amazing like designed Pokemon. But in sense, for me, it's not all that great of a Pokemon in sense when it comes to like offensive moves and anything like that, because most of the time when it comes to Liepard, it's basically known for being a prankster Pokemon and being very good in competitive play when it comes to VGC. It was pretty much, I've seen a lot of Liepard in VGC 2015, and I've also seen a couple of Liepards in 2016 that actually do put in the work, even with the Legends, because like look at its defenses, it's complete shit. So most of the time they actually run Focus Sash on their Liepards, but nonetheless it still puts in work as a prankster Pokemon. But in sense, I would like to see this thing being a offensive attacker. So that's what I've done to this Liepard, or should I say for Mega Liepard. So before I get into it, what I wanted to do for Liepard is that I wanted to make its Mega Evolution an offensive Pokemon. And if you wanted to use like regular Liepard as like a prankster Pokemon still, you still can. I just want to see an offensive Liepard that actually would put in the work. So that's what I've done to its Mega Evolution. So as you can tell from what I've done to its stats, I did increase everything because honestly everything needed to get increased. I wanted this thing to be an offensive monster, so that's what we did. So with all that, let's just get right into it. Now, for both of its physical attack and special attack, I increased them both from base 88 to base 113. Now, like I said, I wanted Mega Liepard to be the offensive version of Liepard and have this thing have really high physical attack, really high special attack, being a very speedy Pokemon, because in sense that's what pretty much Liepard is a speedy Pokemon and does damage when it wants to. But like I said, what I wanted to do for its Mega Evolution, I wanted this thing to be very an offensive threat, and with both of its attack stats being at base 88, I wanted to increase in base 113. That way they'll be a lot higher, a lot more threatening. And also Liepard does get access to quite a few moves that you can run on it, both physical and special. And I'm just going to list some off because I do have Liepard pulled up on Cerebi. It also gets access to Sucker Punch, it gets access to Nasty Plot. I had no idea it got access to Nasty Plot. It got access to Night Shade. Does this thing get access to Dark Pulse? It does get access to Dark Pulse, so there's pretty much two stab moves you can run, both physical and or special, that you can run on Mega Liepard, considering that it is part dark. But nonetheless, it also gets access to U-Turn, which I've seen countless of times on Liepard to pretty much have switch initiatives. Grass Knot, which is actually going to be a very good Pokemon or move on Liepard, because compared to like VGC 2016 Pokemon and the Legends, Grass Knot's going to do a lot of damage, because this thing, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't really weigh that much. I think it weighs like 82 pounds, 82.7 pounds. I'm on Cerebi, and that's what Cerebi told me. So it's not all that fat. So like compared to like Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon, like those are going to do hefty amount of damage when it comes to like Grass Knot. But nonetheless, it also gets access to like obviously Hidden Power. It gets access to Shadow Ball, Aerial Ace, Shadow Claw. So those, like I said, those are just a couple of moves that it actually gets access to that you can both run physical and special. And also this thing gets access to Play Rough, which is actually not all that surprising, considering that Liepard to me is like a what's the word I'm looking for? Play. I can't remember the word, but it's kind of like mischievous, if that makes sense, and that's what like play rough kind of like resembles in my head. But once again, I wanted to increase both of its physical attack and special attack pretty much equally to base 113. This thing is just going to be an offensive threat, I can tell you that much. And for its defenses, I increased them from base 50 to base 65. Now, the one thing I didn't want to make Liepard into was I didn't want to have, like, in sense, another Mega Absol, because you guys, or I already told you guys when it came to the Mega Honchkrow video that when it came to like its Mega Evolution, I didn't want it to make a second Mega Absol, because Mega Absol is just a very frail Pokemon, because pretty much what Absol does is that it's a physical attacker, it's a special attacker, and also it has very decent speed when it comes to its Mega Evolution. And like its defenses, if I'm not mistaken, are at base 60, and it's piss poor. That thing is not going to be able to live anything, literally nothing at all whatsoever, because like Mach Punch will knock it out in one hit, Vacuum Wave will knock it out in one hit, even moves that are not super effective, and even if they're not stab, like Flamethrower coming from like, I don't know, a Snorlax or something like that, it's probably most likely knock it out. That's how frail it is. But in sense, Liepard is just like Mega Absol or Absol in general. Its defenses are complete shit, so that was why most of the time people ran Focus Sash on this thing, whether it was in VGC or in singles, just because its defenses are complete ass. So even though I did increase it to base 65, it's still better than base 50 in its defenses. It's still going to be considered a glass cannon, but it's in sense, I like, there was like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like, I don't know how to put it into words, but either way, this thing is just going to be an offensive threat. It's going to have shitty defenses, and also it's going to be a glass cannon. But at the same time, I feel like with this Mega Evolution, it's pretty much going to bring it, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It wouldn't really matter. I don't know what the word that would be for, but you kind of understand where I'm getting at. It's physical attack, special attack are through the roof. Its defenses are piss poor. It's still going to be a glass cannon, but this thing is going to hit hard, and that's what I kind of wanted to do for Mega Liepard. Have this thing hit really hard, and then at the same time do as much damage as possible and then die, because that's kind of like how Mega Absol is, and also kind of how Mega Liepard is going to be. And I'm sorry if you guys hear a helicopter outside. My window's open, so I do apologize. Is it gonna leave? Okay. Sorry about that. I kind of wanted to wait until it was gone. So once again, it's still going to be a glass cannon. And last but not least, its speed. I only increased it just a little bit from base 106 to base 126. Now, obviously, I know probably a lot of people are probably going to say I should have increased it a lot higher, probably like base 136 or 146. But at the same time, Liepard, as it stands by itself already, is very fast at base 106. But I wanted to also increase it to base 126, because then it'll have its speed increase. It'll be the same base stat as Talonflame without Gale Wings, if I'm not mistaken, if you max out its speed, because base 106 is very fast as hell in my opinion, and increasing it to base 126 is just going to be a very monstrous offensive, like, speedy Pokemon. That's kind of how I wanted to make Mega Liepard, make it a very fast, speedy Pokemon while being very hyper offensive, because that's kind of how I wanted to build it, because that's kind of how Mega Absol is, and I unfortunately kind of have to make Mega Liepard kind of like Mega Absol, being very hyper offensive, and then pretty much do as much damage as possible and then just die, because that's pretty much all Mega Absols do. And pretty much if like Mega Liepard ends up like this, that's pretty much all it's ever going to end up to do as well. Now, as a regular Liepard, is base stats at 446, and with the Mega Evolution, it's going to be at 546. Now, for its ability, this is where part of the reason why I also said I wanted to make this thing very hyper offensive, and that was that I actually gave Mega Mega Liepard Pixelate. Now, I know there's a lot of Pokemon out there, I would say a couple Mega Evolutions, which are in Gardevoir and Altaria. I'm pretty sure there's one more, I can't remember off the top of my head, that have Pixelate, and I wanted to give Pixelate to Mega Liepard because, for one thing, it gets access to Play Rough, which is already a fairy type, that's partially part of the reason why I've actually given Pixelate to this thing. Also, part of the reason why is because it gets access to like Return, Frustration, like the normal moves that you would normally get for like every Pokemon, like literally every Pokemon. And also, after looking down and going towards the tutor moves in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Liepard itself gets access to Hyper Voice, and that was partially, or I would say most of the reason why I've given it Pixelate was because it got access to Hyper Voice, and I also wanted, like I said, and I probably sound like a broken record, wanted to make Liepard a very offensive, threatening Pokemon, and with getting access to Hyper Voice, or getting access to Pixelate and also Hyper Voice, this thing is just going to be a very monstrous threat. And also, to continue on about with its moveset and stuff, as you can tell by the typing I actually did for Liepard, I actually added on the fairy type characteristics. Now, the reason why I added on the fairy type characteristics was also because pretty much it got access to Play Rough, and also I've given it the Pixelate ability, so then that way fairy type moves are going to be doing a lot more damage because of Stab. And pretty much all around, if you cannot tell, Mega Liepard is pretty much what Mega Absol should have been, part fairy. So once again, Pixelate, very offensive, getting access to Hyper Voice, Return, Frustration. I'm pretty sure this thing gets access to like Giga Impacts because it's like the final form of the Pokemon. Yes, it does get access to Giga Impact, also the Hyper Beam as well. So, like I said, I wanted Mega Liepard to be a very, very, very offensive. So with base 113, both of its attacks, and also being a very speedy Pokemon, this is pretty much what Mega Absol should have been. I didn't want to make Liepard into like another Mega Absol, but with its defenses as low as it is, it's literally, in my opinion, no way out of it in sense. So yeah, but once again, if you guys don't know what kind of a moveset you would give Mega Liepard if it gets access to Pixelate and also become part fairy, this thing gets access to, like I said, to Hyper Voice, Knockoff, Seed Bomb, Gunk Shot. Like, that's a moveset already for its physical attack as well, or a mixed attacker if you wanted to go that route, because it's a physical attack and special attack are the same, so you can run a mixed attacker. So like, those are just a couple of like moves you can run on like a physical, but like I said, for a special, Hyper Voice, Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball, Hyper Beam maybe, or probably like Hidden Power Fire, Hidden Power Ice, or something like that. So you pretty much already have a moveset for both physical and a special Mega Liepard, so it's really, in sense, not a waste, if that makes sense. But with all that said, there is Mega Liepard. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to comment and subscribe. I actually been really wanting to talk about Mega Liepard for a while, and I'm actually glad that I got a chance to do it right now. But once again, the next Pokemon we are going to be talking about, we are still going to be staying in 5th gen, because there is one more 5th gen Pokemon that I would like to talk about right now, and it's literally one of my favorite bug type Pokemon. Like, if I had a top 3, or maybe even a top 5, maybe even a top 3, this Pokemon would probably be in that list, and that Pokemon is going to be Mega Galvantula. So yes, later this week on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, we are going to be talking about Mega Galvantula. So with all that said, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to comment and subscribe. So this is White Boy for the win, and I'll catch you guys later.